A prehistoric God damn it. A prehistoric grizzly bear decides to go on a violent rampage in a popular national forest. It's up to the park ranger, a helicopter pilot, and a naturalist to attempt to kill the bear themselves. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. Today, we'll be talking about the 1976 creature feature, Grizzly, a film which has been widely considered a blatant Charles ripoff. Critics would destroy it upon release, yet somehow this film would be the top grossing independent film of 1976 and has enjoyed a large cult following to this very day. With that, before we get any more into it, I'll shoot it over to you for the score.
The highest grossing independent film in 1976. That eats my lunch, not gonna lie. Grizzly rocking a 40% Rotten Tomatoes score, 32% audience score. No critics consensus because only 10 people have reviewed this movie. But those 10 people don't care for it. And neither does 32% of the audience. So that's why it's here.
Everyone's wrong. This was a great movie. Incredibly entertaining. But before we get into all that, I got two questions today. One's a quick one. I think in a little fun aside I thought about. So with creature features, we've seen alligators, sharks, snakes, grizzly bears, piranhas. Are there any animals that you think deserve a film of this kind that we haven't gotten yet, maybe?
That is a very good question. I like that a lot. I think I don't think I've ever seen a movie with like a giant octopus. I think that would be really cool. They made one in the 50s called It Came From Beneath the Sea. But other than that, like it's pretty untapped animal that could be a really cool monster movie, big octopus, like a kraken. I think that could be cool.
I would be down for the giant squid movie. I know we're getting it next weekend with Ella, but we don't get a lot of lion movies if we're going like for an actual animal. Not well. I mean, I know giant squids exist, which is incredibly rare.
I know what you meant. Kraken's not real. Lions are.
Yeah, but we don't get a lot of those, and you think that would actually lend itself to a creature feature type because lions are considered one of the apex predators. So I would think that would actually be quite a thing to pull off.
Yeah, absolutely. Tigers too. And I think like polar bears, like big, like real creatures would be cool. But also, I bet there's some contingencies that like don't want those things hunted. So make movies turning them into monsters doesn't help.
This is true. Yeah. I've also thought like you could go small scale. I mean, there's movies like slugs and frogs and stuff out there that exist as well. So I thought if you could pull it off, you could go small with something like a bug infestation type film, make some kind of bug terrifying, like killer bees or something. You'd probably have to make sure you do it with a tongue in cheekness, but I think you could pull something off on even a smaller scale.
Well, they did a killer bees movie in the 70s called The Swarm, which I heard was pretty decent. And then there was, arachnophobia with the spiders. I don't think they've ever done one with scorpions.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I dig that.
If we got giant ants in them. How would we not got giant scorpions?
You want to really freak people out? How about we do like an extended live, full length version of the They're Creeping Up on You creep show segment and do a cockroach movie?
No. God,
yeah.
no.
Ugh. Yeah. Something about roaches. I can deal with scorpions, I can deal with spiders, but fucking roaches, stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I don't like roaches. I do not like. There was one so far in my first summer in the state of Virginia. There was one that did get into my place one day. Only one so far the whole summer.
Did you get it?
Oh, I got it. It took me a while. Like I saw it, I didn't get it at first. All my animals saw it, and I was like, "Oh, get this fucking thing."
My old apartment in San Antonio, it was like 3 in the morning. I was playing a video game, and the biggest fucking roach I've ever seen flew onto my TV. And I was like, fuck, backed up, did the usual thing, stood and stared at it for about 20 minutes, trying to figure out what's the best thing I can use to kill this thing in one slap without destroying my TV. It crawled behind my film shelf. I had to move the shelf carefully so it didn't freak out and fly at my face. And it ended up in the stairwell. I beat it to death with an Adidas shoe. The figure fly swatter didn't have enough punch. I had to use a shoe.
You're a better man than me. I would have fucking annihilated my TV and just bought a new one. I would have just been like, God damn. Taking it in. What happened? There was a cockroach on the TV.
Thankfully, my current apartment, I've been here for about a little over a year. I have not seen a roach. Knock on wood.
Yeah. I remember when I lived in Florida for college for like 2 years. And I'll never forget, anyone who lives in Florida is fucking bugs out the ass there. It's a goddamn armpit of the United States. No offense to Floridians everywhere.
No offense.
On that note, one day I found a fucking roach in my apartment, which really isn't uncommon in fucking Florida of all places. And I tried killing it, but he got my printer like into my printer. I was like, oh. So I couldn't do anything. I was like, fuck. So I went to sleep. So at night I was like, I'll go to sleep. Hopefully I'll find it in the morning. I'll tackle this thing in the morning. Wake up. I'm looking around for it. Can't find it. I open my fucking closet to grab some clothes to change, and it's on my closet wall. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. At this point, I have all confidence, all macho right now. I grab like my shoe or something. I go to hit it, and I guess I did too. I don't know what I did, but it fucking like it hit. This fucking roach flew right in front of my face, and all that macho confidence went right out the window because I screamed and ran. Like I was like, oh fuck no, and I got out of there. I was like, oh, I didn't know. At that point, I never, believe it or not, I never saw a cockroach fly until that moment in my life. So I wasn't aware and I was unprepared. And it scared the shit out of me. And then when I got my nerves back, I annihilated it. I still in my closet and I was able to fucking annihilate it. But yeah, it scared the shit out of me. Not the worst thing that's happened in a closet in a home though that I lived in.
Ooh, that's ominous.
Yeah. So you remember my old house in Blanco?
Yeah.
So you remember that really small one house that was like right next to us? The old guy used to live there and he went crazy and they fucking took him to a home. They let the grass. Yeah, that's what happened to the old guy. They let the grass grow for like ever before they finally sold that house to someone else that uses it. I don't know if they do it now, but they use it. They use it as a rental. So the grass was like above the fence. Anyone who doesn't know, especially in that part of Texas, snakes abundant. Tall grass. It's a great place for snakes. But when they bought it, they had to get rid of the grass, right? They had to fucking cut it. So they're back there doing their thing. Apparently we didn't think anything of it. My mom, I don't know how this fucking probably the age-old scary toilet trick that we hear about all the time. My mom went into our bathroom to get something from the closet that was in there. Apparently she opened it and there was a fucking snake. This like green, it was something venomous, something nasty. Snake in there that lunged at her as soon as she opened the closet. She luckily didn't get bit, obviously freaked out, shut that fucking door, ran out, closed the bathroom door. I missed all of this and I came out to a dead snake and a mason jar because my dad had taken care of it, I guess, in like 5 minutes. Like, killed the thing and was like, it was next to the computer. So it was also back when, you only had one fucking computer. Next to the computer, just looking up what it was. And I think that's how he found out it was like venomous.
God damn, man.
Yeah.
Well, taking it back to your original question about, monsters and like creatures we haven't seen in movies. I've been attacked 3 separate times by red wasps. And I think a wasp movie would be particularly freaky.
Ooh, that's a good one. A wasp movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I have an insane, abnormal fear of frogs and lizards for very specific reasons. I won't go near a frog or a lizard to save my life unless it's like a zoo with glass. Will not go near them.
Huh.
Frogs just creep me out. They're slimy and gross. And lizard, as a kid, I saw the trailer for that Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan,
Yeah.
and there's that scene where the lizard goes through, and it fucking of all the things I watched as a kid, that scarred me to this day. Um, so I will not go near them. I would be down. I think you could do a really cool because we get snakes all the time. We've seen those that many frogs. There's not many cool lizard movies, not a lot.
Yeah.
I
Godzilla kind of cornered the market on that one.
Yeah, but I'm talking like do like a Komodo dragon, like those big fucking ones that have actually been known to attack people.
Yeah. It's a good one. I'm assuming you've seen the movie Frogs.
I have not actually. It's because of the fact that it's because of my second fear. That movie's going to tap into something that doesn't need to be unleashed.
I'm learning so much about you lately. Christmas and frogs. This is all right. Cool. Yeah. I mean, after Jaws, every dangerous animal on Earth got a movie. I mean, fucking wild boar got a movie with Razorback.
This is true. And you know what? That's deserved because boars are assholes.
But are they dangerous enough to warrant an entire movie?
Not a movie. I mean, they're not. They can be dangerous. They've been known to fucking fuck people up.
Yeah.
I'll never forget taking when I was in Boy Scouts. We took a camping trip somewhere. I forget where. Other than it being in Texas, obviously. But there was this area that we're going to get somewhere. You had to go through like some tall grass. And our warning as we're going back to the campsite at night through the tall grass is don't watch out for snakes, don't watch out for coyotes. It's hey, be careful of those wild boars in the area. They like to be in this tall grass. Gee, thanks. Let's try to get back to camp now.
Have you been following the production of that Cocaine Bear movie?
No, I haven't.
Do you know about that?
Yes, I do. And my only beef is Elizabeth Banks and her insistence that people don't want to watch her stuff because it's female. I'm like, that's not why.
Well, this is about a bear on cocaine, so I don't think gender is going to play into this one. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, there's a real life incident where a bear, I think a grizzly or a brown bear, stumbled onto like a shit ton of cocaine that ended up in the woods after a plane crashed. It ate all the cocaine, went completely fucking berserk, and died of a heart attack. But there was a brief bit there where this bear was the most dangerous apex predator on the planet, and they're making a comedy creature feature called Cocaine Bear about this incident, and I can't wait.
I want to wait for the trailer to see how I feel. Like I said, she kind of just. I have nothing against her. That really kind of put me in a mood where I'm just like, that's not why your movie flopped.
Yeah, I get you. Kevin Smith was trying to make Moose Jaws for the longest time. I think he's abandoned that.
Yeah, I was about to say we haven't seen a moose film, and I think that'd be a good one because moose. Can you just say moose if it's plural still?
I don't think it's Mises. I'm gonna go with moose.
Not Mises, no.
Mooses, Mises, mouses.
All of the moose. They're assholes, and they will fucking attack you without goddamn warning. That's a known fact. People, look it up.
I had a story I was gonna write that I ultimately didn't because I thought it sounded ridiculous. But after all this creature feature stuff we've been doing lately, I might go back to it. It was about a group of hyper intelligent deer who stalked a pair of hunters. It's called Deer.
I would actually be down for that. The deer uprising.
Yeah, it was like they killed their moms. So like the rest of this like pack of deer were like, let's fuck these people up. I don't know. Maybe there was some radiation from a nearby plant or something that made them smart. I don't know. I didn't think it through that far.
Basically, Bambi's Revenge. All that skit they did on SNL with The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to that.
I mean, like I said, I mean, you know me, I'm a sucker for any good creature feature. So anyone, it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is, I'm willing to give it a shot just to be like, okay, let's see how this works. Because like at the end of the day, it really depends on how they approach it. Like you can pull away like a Charles where it is serious and it is that, but you can also get your ones like Eyzaguirre that have a lot more fun with it. They just kind of play with it, have more. Either way it works, just depends on how you approach it.
True, that's true. I prefer more of a tongue-in-cheek approach to it where it's like we know this is a ridiculous concept, so just lay back and enjoy it.
I tend to be like that too.
Yeah, Jaws got away with it because it was very well written, very well acted, very well directed. That's not going to happen every time.
No. And I'm the same way. That's why I love like both versions of Piranha, the Joe Dante Piranha and the remake that Aja did. I think both are great because they both have fun. Especially Aja has so much fun with the concept.
Oh my god. Yeah. When the Girls Gone Wild guy's dick gets bit off, it's like what you have this moment of like, what am I got myself into here?
What movie am I watching? But yeah, okay. So that was my first question. I didn't actually think that was gonna be like a question. I'm always happy when the ones I don't expect to be good are good. Now, bring this one a little bit more into what the type of this film is. So, as we're going into, right, this is essentially like Jaws was a huge success. We got a surplus of Jaws like films. Not the first time this has happened in Hollywood, as you know. Another big one, for those who remember not so long ago, was Paranormal Activity success, led to a slew of found footage. Before that, Saw led to a slew of torture porn. And then Jay Horton, it just constantly happens. So, with that, what are your thoughts when it comes to Hollywood's insistence to essentially just chase a trend based off a huge box office success until that trend is just fucking in a goddamn hole?
Not gonna lie, I fucking hate it. I hate that when something works, Hollywood spends the next decade trying to make lightning in a bottle happen again, and they never pull it off. All we get is a sea of knockoffs that most of which never really escape their, the year they came out. Some of them become cult classics, but overall, like nothing's gonna be Saw, nothing's gonna be Paranormal Activity, nothing's gonna be Jaws, and it's annoying to just see the market get so oversaturated with movies that are nowhere near as good that aren't going to be as good. That's the worst thing. No one ever tries as hard.
For the most part, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you for the most part. I think yes, it bugs me just because it's Hollywood just being like, hey, this was a huge hit. We saw it outside of horror, obviously the shared universe thing that's finally kind of dying down.
Yeah.
Thank God. That was getting chased on everything after MCU, really took off back in 2008. But to me, if we do ever get one that works, right, one that actually like takes off, no, obviously we'll never beat the thing that started it and made it big. You know what I mean? Like, dare I say, go down this hot topic, but with the remake craze that happened in the early 2000s, no remake was going to touch what Texas Chainsaw Massacre achieved. But those are a couple that got close, and that is because in those rare cases, yes, the studio was just cashing in and doing their thing, but they got a filmmaker that was passionate about the project and said, I want to do my best. I want to actually try with this one. I think that's one of the times it does work, but that doesn't happen every time.
Well, that's true. There's always exceptions. There's always people who, are able to use this kind of boom to capitalize on, an opportunity to make something of theirs. And that's okay. If you're going to take advantage of that, by all means, go for it. What I don't like is when it's basically, a producer just says like, hey, Jaws, do that. And that's when you get shit. And that's what you mostly get. And I don't care for that. Especially lately, I've been feeling kind of a lack of originality in the stuff I've been watching. And I want more. And then you look at these trends and you're like, oh, that's why we never get anything worthwhile, apart from like once every 10 years. Yeah, I blame Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of what I talk about a lot when people talk about they want originality in Hollywood. And it's like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the studio thing, yeah, I would love for them to start taking risk again, like they did back in like the 60s and no, sorry, not 60s, 70s, really, because there was a lot of pushback on Psycho in 1960. So in the 70s and the 80s, when they were really saying let's be adventurous, let's do this, let's do that. At the same time, though, the other end of it is on the audience side, the business part of it, which is they invest a lot of money in these films, they need to make their money back. And then when audiences are seeing the newest MCU film, right, or that new thing that's making a lot of money, but then the thing that's original that tries to come out doesn't make money, then that tells Hollywood, well, they don't want that because it's not making fucking money.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. A lot of the blame can be put on the audience. And I mean, it's basically like, we all act like we don't like fast food, but we're all gonna eat it.
Yeah, you can bitch about the Fast and Furious franchise all day as a film fan, but they're on movie 10 for a reason.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 14 million served.
So just saying, it's I say that with anything that's like, hey, like Aaron says, someone's like, oh fuck, no, I'm like, they're still selling out stadiums for a reason. Like I'm sorry, you may hate it, but apparently enough people like it enough for it to still be a huge thing. I'm just saying. Now with that, yes, studios do sometimes do shady shit. Obviously to me, I've talked about before, there was the whole thing with Del Toro's Nightmare Alley. The fact that they moved it forward to when Spider-Man came out, which was like, why the fuck would you do that?
But even Nightmare Alley was a remake. So, like, you can't win.
No, I'm just saying they're like they do. Yeah, that was a remake. But then like kind of with this, and obviously the DC thing we talked about with the whole just straight up canceling and shelving films. So like I'm not saying like it's all audiences. I think it's 50-50. I think part of it is yes, but the audience is saying and what they make success at the box office, what isn't. Look at Jordan Peele's recent film. It's his lowest grossing film. It did finally hit 100 million here in the States, but it's been out since fucking July 22nd. And it just now hit that. It's domestically his lowest grossing film, and it's a goddamn original film. Yet these MCU films, Top Gun, Maverick, are making fucking $1 billion almost in 2 weeks.
Uh, yeah, it's you want originality, you go to independent film, and but that stuff doesn't always make money. It's sometimes hard to get a hold of. It's hard to it's hard not to eat the fast food. Just I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of both parts, right? Studios sometimes do shit, audiences will do shit. It sucks, and I don't know. And as far as being it like home to horror, like it's so 50-50 me because there's definitely some trends I've enjoyed. I'm a massive fan of the torture porn trend. I know that how that probably sounds to non-horror fans, like oh my, yeah, actually even to horror fans. But I did like that era of just brutal, like we were getting like gnarly, just graphically brutal, violent horror films on a fucking theater screen, like mainstream theater screens. It was not like you need insane to me. I love that era. I don't mind the remakes. I was a teenager, so that was, big part of my what I was seeing. I personally wasn't really big on the found footage fucking trend. Personally, I wasn't that big into it. I thought I was excited for the Stephen King Renaissance. Sure, it's now still out. I'm loving the slasher resurgence we're getting in that trend that's going on. So admittedly for me, it kind of depends on what the trend is. Like there's some I enjoy quite a bit, some I don't. I wasn't a big fan when Conjuring became a hit, and then like that's all the type of films we got. That I was quickly tired of that.
But do you think these trends are just in horror, or do we see these in other genres? Because it seems
I
to me
think
like it's mostly in horror.
it's I would say mostly horror, but you see it in other genres. Like I said, when it comes to outside stuff, it's like with the MCU. No, yeah, we got an illusion of superhero films, but it was more the concept of a shared universe is what studios latched onto. Because then it was like Transformers shared universe, TMNT shared universe, this none of these universes happened, by the way. All never actually happened.
Yeah.
But then yeah, you occasionally see it outside, but I see it mostly in horror, but you do see it occasionally outside. We're seeing it with action right now, thanks to John Wick. We're just getting constant fucking. This is gonna be the next John Wick, and it's like, no, we don't want the next John Wick. We just want John Wick 4, for being honest.
Yeah. It's one I can think of off the top of my head. I think is the kind of the Hasbro boom that Transformers did, where we got GI Joe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, and like any toy that was successful was now becoming a movie, and
Yeah,
none of them really worked the way Transformers did.
yeah, and even then, Transformers eventually had to learn that maybe we should get rid of Michael Bay the hard way. Um,
It's the only way
yeah,
to get rid of Michael Bay is the hard way.
yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, you have it with that. Comedies will occasionally do it, right? Some certain type of comedy becomes a bit like when 21 Jump Street came a hit. How many announced movie to or let's resurrect this show and make it a comedy. It's like, no, it just worked for Trump Street. We don't need another one. It's okay. Luckily that no one didn't last long. I think they tried Baywatch, no one really saw it, and they quickly let it go.
Just look at the slew of knockoffs that came out of Star Wars. I mean, sci-fi action adventure became huge in a way that Star Trek never really captured, on the big screen. Even the Star Trek movie, which came out 2 years after Star Wars, you can kind of say was inspired by Star Wars.
Yeah, it's always weird when that happens in genre. Like, like you have Halloween, right? Like it was the prototype for the slasher genre to come. But it wasn't until Friday 13 came out, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, people want this. We had the 80s boom of slashers, and then Halloween was the one that went, oh, we should do that too.
Yeah.
And then they did Halloween too. It was like, you guys weren't going to do that until this boom took over. So you helped start it, but you're just now chasing it yourself.
Yeah, it's odd. It's like you don't really get full credit for it because you're kind of like you're inspiring yourself, but you're not. It's hard. And yeah, it's just anything successful leads to imitators. That's always how it's been since the beginning of Hollywood, since fucking art started. That's how it began. That's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond movies, look at music. Like, as a metalhead, with the 80s glam metal, and then a bunch of them popped up because it took off. Or thrash from Metallica, all these thrash metal bands take off. 90s grunge, right? All these imitators. You had new metal. Dear God, we have new metal, and everyone tried to be a new metal band thanks to Korn.
Yeah, it's hard to trace back anything to like actual originality. It's difficult.
It's usually the ones that start the trend, the originals, and then you just have to hope that anyone that chases it does something to add their flair to it.
But even if you chase it back to the original, you're like, what inspired them? Like, let's go back to Star Wars. Star Wars was, most likely, heavily influenced by, Akira Kurosawa and, Sergio Leone, and even, to an extent, Star Trek. What were those guys inspired by? It's I guess once you start doing that, it's like, are we all just ripping off Shakespeare? Or like,
well, that's why, like, and this isn't me coming at you, but like, and actually, this other person I've talked about on text messages, I will not name, but when people really try to pull it, like, there's just nothing original in Hollywood nowadays, especially when they refer to Hollywood now. Like, there's nothing original now anymore. But I'm like, there hasn't been anything original since like, I would argue, the fucking 70s, if we're just being completely honest. Like, everyone, even by the 70s, all your Spielbergs and all these guys that are popping up that are huge now, they were influenced by what they watched.
Yeah.
And wanted to do. I'm like, we haven't had, I was like, the best you can ever do. And that's why before I mentioned like John Wick. Is John Wick the basis of that story original? Fuck no, it's not. But they added just enough and added their own spin to it to make it original. I think that's like, at this point, the best you can do. I don't think any basis of a story, I just don't think it's original anymore. I think Hollywood's been around for so long. I don't think you can do an original idea like that. It's what can you do to take a story that we know like the back of our hand and add to it to make it your own, to make it original in its own way.
Yeah, Hollywood now is like one of those paint by numbers classes where you're given the template and you're like, this is what you're going to paint, but everyone's painting comes out different because everyone's putting their own spin on it. But at the end of the day, it is the same basic foundation, and we're just gonna have to live with that.
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, as long as they're doing their own thing, I'm cool with it. And that's why I say with this whole, chasing the bandwagon thing Hollywood loves to do. That's why, like, okay, going back to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'll stand by it. I love Friday 13th, 2009, because I do think Marcus Nispel really tried to make it his own, do something with it, and do something that would make fans happy with that installment. Then you have Nightmare on Elm Street. That was just a paint by numbers. Get this done. We don't really care. We're banking off the name. That's when I get annoyed. That's to me when it's the poorest form of imitation. You're not trying to do anything different. You're just coasting off a name.
See, that's exactly the way I felt about Grizzly, because Grizzly is just taking the exact same story beats as Jaws, even the same characters, putting a new coat of paint on them, and then trying to say this is a different movie. It's Jaws in the woods. But I just felt like this. It even ends the same way. Fucker blows up. It's to me just it reeks of unoriginality.
That's because yeah, once we get into it, yeah, kind of. There wasn't much I could find on the script, but I know like how the script came about at least. Um, really enough, and this could just be my affinity for creature features. I enjoyed it enough. I do have my issues with it, so don't think I don't. Let's clear. I don't love it. I have my issues with it. Yes, very much being the fact that it's hewing so fucking closely to the plotline Jaws and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's because I've seen Cruel Jaws. I'm just like, this is better. This is as blatant as Cruel Jaws because I just said it's in the title for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I'm sure it can get way worse, but that to me doesn't make this better. It just makes this less worse.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not better.
Yeah.
It's less worse. I can sit through this and enjoy certain aspects of it. Whereas Cruel Jaws was a special movie if there ever was one. But yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's where I fall into. So unless you have anything more, I got not the biggest production development hell on this, but I got some stuff.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. So the ideal for this film supposedly started when the film's producer and writer Harvey Flaxman, what a last name, good old Harv, encountered a bear during a family camping trip. That's where the ideal originated. He went camping, encountered a bear. I'm assuming his family and himself are alive.
It would be pretty fucked up if he's like, yeah, a bear massacred my entire family on a camping trip, but it gave me a great idea for a movie.
As he's at the funeral, he's just writing the script on his fucking typewriter.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were fun.
Yeah. So came up with the ideal, wrote the script, but then following the humongous success of Jaws, which I know we've covered on the show, on one of our shows before. I know we talked about Jaws. Pretty sure it's a FILMGAZM episode, correct?
We did Jaws on FILMGAZM and Oscar Sunday.
There you go, FILMGAZM and Oscar Sunday. I remember the Oscar Sunday because I was on that one. I was on deployment during the FILMGAZM one. That's right. But yeah, co-producer. I know that was when we were writing things in because we had to figure out how to get us.
I know. I wanted you and Josh involved. I just couldn't figure out how. So we settled on like fan mail, basically.
God, the early days of this show.
I know.
Well, following the huge success of Jaws, the movie that changed everything, co-producer and co-writer David Sheldon thought the ideal would make a good film. So he was like, the ideal did technically come out before Jaws, but with that said, however, whatever we want to say after that, it did take the other half of this to go, oh, that was a huge success. This will make a great script.
Yeah, pretty sure that script got tweaked a bit.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a miracle if somehow this guy pulled out the same story beats as Jaws before it came out.
So I'm going to say Flaxman, not to blame. I'm going to put my blame on Sheldon. Sounds like this may have been more of him.
Yeah, sounds about right. Usually, if you're going to blame somebody, blame the producer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're both producers, but he's the one that was explicitly going like, yeah, I saw Jaws and thought this would make a good film. So it's like, you probably had a lot to do with the script then, more than the guy who came up with it after a camping trip before Jaws came out.
Yeah, safe bet.
Yeah. Now let's enter the third name in this, the director, William Girdler. He discovered the script on Sheldon's desk, so it's just fucking sitting there, and proposed an offer to find the financing for it as long as he could direct. I don't know what made him such a hot shot to lay that offer down, but there you go.
I love that it was just sitting on his desk. He wasn't locked away or like he was reading it or anything. I bet it hadn't even been like thumbed through. And this guy was like, ooh, bear. I like bear. Let's do it.
What if he really like, I direct this film to get the financing or I walk?
We need to find a real 18-foot grizzly or I walk.
Oh, just stand by on the rail. Crichton would have had a boner during this movie.
Oh my God, he would have had like the grizzly fight one of his real monkeys.
I'm just saying we'll get into it, but Ryan would have fucking had a hard on knowing what they did to make this movie.
Check out our Congo episode for these if you want to know where these Crichton jokes are coming from.
Yeah, and his insistence on a girl monkey. Well, luckily Girdler is not a man blowing smoke up his ass, because it took him a week to obtain $75,000 in financing.
That is concerning.
Yep, he got it from Edward O. Montoros Ventures International movie company. I believe their name pops up on the screen when you watch the film. So he got it from them somehow.
Yeah, I always wonder about that when people just pull 75 grand out of their ass in a week. It's like, promises were made here. I hope they were delivered upon. This was back when 75 grand was a lot of money.
We just never hear about Girdler again after this.
I've never heard of him. We don't know what happened.
God damn it. So with that, they get the money. They can go and film, right? So they go film on location in Clayton, Georgia. And if you're wondering why the supporting roles aren't that well acted, that's because they use a lot of the local residents for that. They just put them in the movie.
Cheaper that way, to just film in a crowd and tell the crowd, hey, we're making a movie. Shut up.
If any of you are even try acting in this.
I think it's smarter to not tell extras that you're filming. Otherwise, they'll try too hard. We see that in movies, like the guy in Quantum of Solace who's sweeping the air. Seriously, check that out.
Oh my god. They need to do what like the prank shows do, like Jackass and Practical Jokers. Just have them sign a form saying, hey, we're filming something, but don't tell them what, so then no one acts fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a lot of shady ways to get a lot of extras into a movie all at once without telling them anything. I hope somebody's getting paid to say that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm sure they do the same thing with Jackass, but I know in Practical Jokers, if you watch episodes where it's like inside the thing, they have a little thing on the bottom that tells you what goes on. I think at most they maybe put things up saying they're filming something there, and even then, I don't think they have to. So a lot of times those people are actually doing what they're supposed to, and probably just thinking, oh, there's a camera here for a reason. And then when they're done, they're leaving like the store or whatever. Then a PA is handing out an NDA going, hey, can you sign this? Hey, can you sign this? We filmed in here. Can you sign this?
It's awesome. I'm sure in New York, that's not weird.
Probably not. So that's, I know prank shows, again, like them and Jackass and all those guys, they have interesting ways to work around that so they can not have people know what the fuck, especially for what they're doing. They don't want people to catch on. Can
you imagine though, like you're watching Grizzly with your grandkids and all of a sudden like you're walking around in the background like you had no idea.
What is that meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leo pointing at the TV?
Yeah. I mean, funny. I wonder, it makes you wonder like how many times you've been walking around somewhere and they were filming something and nobody told you and you happen to end up on camera.
Yeah, dude, it wasn't in the movie, but remember that movie with Eric Andre, I think it was and Lil Ray Howery?
Oh, Bad Trip?
Bad Trip. I was about to say Road Trip. I was like, it's not Road Trip. Bad Trip. When I saw the trailer, a guy I'm not going to say his name on the podcast, but a guy I went to school with in my grade, I fucking rewound that shit. He was in the trailer, and I was like, holy shit. Not as like one of the people seeing the things happening going, what the fuck? So, it's just a bystander that they filmed. But then when I watched the film, I didn't fucking see him. I was like, damn it. But
that's awesome. There was a guy who got acquitted of murder thanks to him being an accidental extra on a TV show. He had been arrested for murder. He didn't have anybody to. He said he was at a baseball game, but nobody remembered seeing him at the baseball game, so he didn't have a solid alibi. And his lawyer found footage of him in behind the scenes footage of Curb Your Enthusiasm, just in the crowd while they were filming. So that got him off. Like that was his alibi. He got saved from a murder sentence because of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Holy shit.
I love that story so much. It's so cool. Like Larry David finally did something for someone else.
By accident.
Oh, I love that show. But yeah.
Yeah. So outside of now for the bear, the thing that I said would make Crichton rock hard right now. They used a real Kodiak bear with the nickname Teddy.
Teddy. That's creative, I guess.
Yes.
Was Yogi taken?
Probably. So yes, they used the real bear, Kodiak, non-grizzly, because grizzlies are not a bear. You don't want to get close to any bear. Let's just put that out there right now. But grizzlies are especially vicious bears.
Yeah.
Just stay the fuck away from them.
They're the great white sharks of bears.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, they're not. No. Um, this bear, good old Teddy, they got him. He was held in captivity, and at the time, he was 11 feet tall. He was the tallest one they had in captivity at the time. 11 feet.
It's big bear.
So he just shy of your mockery of 18 feet.
I think they went a little too big on the bear in the movie, like 18 feet, 2,000-pound prehistoric monster. And then we get footage of just, a run of the mill bear.
A bear, Kodiak bear. But, it doesn't stop there at bear stuff. So they had to, obviously, using a real bear and it being the 1970s, there's no Joe Exotic on hand to tame this wild creature with music. So they had to find a way to keep the crew safe, right? So they rented him from a place called Olympic Game Ranch over in Sikkim, Washington, where he was kept behind an electric fence. They replicated that, which helped keep the crew safe, apparently. What they would do, they would put a piece of green string running through the shooting locations and then a ticking kitchen timer. And that would help the bear think he was still in a electrified fenced area.
That's interesting. I hope it works.
With that said, there was very clear instructions for the actors and the crew to always stay on the camera side of the string.
Shit. I don't know. At that point, I'd be like, is this project worth it? Am I going to get mauled by this thing? That's creepy.
Yeah. The only thing stopping you from a fucking bear attack is a piece of green string that's not going to stop an 11-foot tall Kodiak bear and a ticking kitchen timer to make it think, oh, I'm still in an electrified fence.
So they didn't have a trainer on hand to like wrangle this thing in case something went south.
None that I could see.
Just if the timer goes out and this thing realizes he's free, hope for the best. Jesus,
that's what it sounded like.
Wow,
I think at most they had probably people from that game ranch that may have traveled to fucking Clayton, Georgia, of all places. But yeah, I didn't see anything about a bear, like how they have now. They have an animal wrangler on set.
It's considering how much the bear in its entirety actually features in the movie. I feel like they didn't need to do that.
They did not.
Yeah, could have just dressed up some tall people in a bear costume.
If I'm being honest right now, I actually thought it was a fake bear when I watched this and then did my research and went, holy shit, it was a real bear.
Well, throughout most of the movie, all we see is like a big paw take down a person. We don't really see a full bear until later in the movie, and then it looks like stock footage filmed at the zoo.
Yeah,
you don't really see the bear in like the same scene as like another person, other than like a couple times towards the end.
Yeah, so I honestly thought it was fake, and I then went, oh. And yeah, if you can't get, look, the Jackass guys can get a fucking animal wrangler, shady one. They can get one on set. Like, you don't have an excuse.
Well, this was the 70s. Like, it's not like, safety was paramount. I mean, people were dying on the Mad Max set. Like, this was not, safety didn't fucking matter.
I forget about that. I'm doing what I hate the most. I'm applying today's knowledge with, sorry, I apologize. We were just talking about that with the whole Metallica fiasco. Well, it's not really a fiasco. Metallica's gonna be fine. So still gonna sell out stadiums.
If they can survive Saint Anger, they can survive anything.
This is true. The fact that there's defenders of that one. Moving on. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have songs on my phone, but that's because I'm a goddamn completionist. That ah. All right, going back to this. One problem. There was one tiny problem though they ran into with Teddy. Teddy couldn't roar.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I shit you not.
The one thing you need a live bear for? They could- Jesus Christ, that's wonderful.
It's amazing. So they had to do a little trickery.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine? You get a bear and they're like, yeah, it can't make that noise that all like the other 99.9% of the bear population makes. I'd be like, what?
I wonder if they had to get it to like open its mouth so it looked like it was roaring, and then they put in like a black bear or something.
That's the next thing I have is how they achieved it actually roaring. It's a little bit of post and in-camera trickery. What they did was they tricked him into making the motions of roaring by throwing several marshmallows into its mouth. I'm not done yet. And then holding a final one in front of his face, but not throwing it. And again, keep in mind, stay on the side that, the cameras are at. Can you imagine how close they had to be for that?
Oh,
Unless they use like a stick.
have you ever watched Burt Kreischer's first special, The Machine?
Yeah, we talked about how you got that nickname. Yes.
Do you remember his story about the time he got like a bear sat on his head?
Oh,
I didn't think they really used marshmallows. I thought he made that shit up for the bit.
nope.
Wow.
Yeah, this took me a moment. They held the last one out, and Teddy, I'll refer to him as Teddy, his own unique wallflower of a bear. He would stretch for it, so that's how you see in the film him doing his like arm, some stretching for the marshmallow off camera, and they were just
Oh,
keep that in mind anytime you watch this movie, and he's stretching. There's a fucking marshmallow off goddamn camera that he's looking for.
never pull back the curtain. It takes all the magic out of movie making. Oh my god.
That's what I'm here for. And as far as the sound, they would artificially add the roaring sound in post.
Really sounds like they could have accomplished all this with like a fake bear.
It could have, but now we have this amazing story involving marshmallows and some poor PA probably risking his fucking life holding out a marshmallow in front of an 11-foot fucking bear.
There's no way in hell anybody with money was feeding the bear. Yeah, it was the fucking PA. It's like, please God, don't let this be the day it takes my arm.
Please let me go home today.
Wow. Oh, there's somebody out there who's like got on their resume like fed Teddy marshmallows on the set of Grizzly 1975. Oh, wow.
Yes. And then the only other bit I have for you until this release is for you comic book fans out there. Apparently, the original poster artwork was done by popular comic book artist Neil Adams.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So there you go, comic book fans. He has graced this wonderful film involving a Kodiak bear that I'm supposed to believe is a grizzly that's reaching for a marshmallow off camera.
I reiterate, 18-foot prehistoric grizzly.
You honestly could just be a regular old grizzly bear that attacks people, and that's terrifying enough. I have seen The Revenant. I've seen what a bear can do to Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm scared.
Well, maybe that was an 18-foot prehistoric grizzly. Because we don't actually know what one looks like because we've never fucking seen one grizzly.
No, because I don't do that in my life. Also, as far as I know, the oldest living dinosaur on the planet is still the alligator.
Oh,
I believe.
I thought it was the shark.
I think it's like alligator, shark, and birds. Because sharks were just basically small megalodons, and gators were basically just like huge as shit. I think they're terrifying now. They used to be like, oh my god, fuck that noise if you were in the water with that thing.
Some scientists recently did say that the plesiosaur could very well be still alive. It's pretty cool. So Loch Ness monster interest has boomed again.
Is that why I've been hearing a lot about the Loch Ness monster again?
Yep, some scientists is like, yeah, plesiosaur could be out there, possibly, maybe, in the right conditions. And everyone's like, that's evidence, that's proof. Let's get Nessie.
It's like when everyone got on the megalodon thing because that thing where like the shark that had the tag on it got eaten whole and then like dragged down to the bottom of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Which yeah, honestly, I wouldn't. I would not be surprised if megalodon still lives in the ocean somewhere.
Dude, considering how deep and untapped that place is, nothing would surprise me coming out of that thing. Fucking Cthulhu rising from the depths would freak me out, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, yeah, it's the Pacific Ocean.
Look, ocean and large chunks of the forest are untapped throughout the world. That's all I'm gonna say. There might be some things out there that are staying very hidden.
We didn't know the silverback gorilla was a real creature until the 1920s. So, we don't know what else is out there.
It's true. Oh, God. With that, that's all I got really on that. But on that, like I said, upon release, like I said, critics were extremely negative, for most criticizing it for being too similar to Jaws. Audiences would apparently feel differently, however, with again making it the top grossing independent film in 1976. A title would hold for a whopping 2 years before Halloween came out and fucking dethroned that shit. And then I forget what dethroned how. I can't remember if Halloween's been dethroned or it hasn't been dethroned yet.
It's got it. At this point, it has to have been dethroned.
I would think Blair Witch fucking destroyed it, but I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Blair Witch, I think, is still the most profitable film of all time because of, what it took to make and what it made.
Yeah. Look at that budget versus that box office. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then with this one in particular, right, it's gone on to become a kind of cult favorite in the horror community. It's thrived in there. It has a Severin Blu-ray release, and it got a long delayed sequel that came out in 2021. But a lot of names are probably wondering, there's no way in hell they started in Grizzly 2 in 20. No, they didn't. They started it when it was being shot originally.
I think 1983, right?
I think so. Yeah, 1983, and the film was banking on names like George Clooney, who would obviously not do Grizzly 2 in fucking 2021. But in 1983, he was a hungry actor, starving. He had a paycheck.
It's not just Clooney, though. That's the craziest thing.
Oh, no, he's like one. I think Charlie Sheen's in that cast. Louise Fletcher, I believe.
Laura Dern, John Rice Davies. It's got an amazing cast for a piece of shit movie.
Yeah, again in 1983 though, and now they definitely banked on. But that is a whole thing for whenever I get to Grizzly 2 on this podcast, because that's one I look forward to diving into. That fucking production of a film in 1983, then did not get released till 2021. Like, dear God.
Yeah, there's probably quite a pretty meaty, girthy story there.
Yes, it's like Halloween 6 with the producer's cut that we finally, all these years later, got an official thing. We're now getting a 4K release of it. Definitely gonna upgrade, so I have the first 5 on 4K anyway. So fuck it. I'm mainly doing it because I get Halloween H2O in 4K, and I actually really like Halloween H2O.
And you can't have that one Blu-ray in between 5 and 7. I get it. All it means is I get your scraps, so I'm fine.
It's true. I don't know if you really need Halloween 6 though, but with that, our resurrection, that God damn. With that, I actually don't have much on this. Most of it was like I said, not the most crazy, insane one, but just some interesting stuff. I did find the bear stuff quite comical with the marshmallows.
Yeah, that was funny. Just that they got the one bear in the fucking country that couldn't roar.
Can you imagine? They were probably thinking, like, guys, we got a live bear. We can do this. And then, like, right when they get ready to film, the guy's like, hey, I forgot one thing. This bear cannot roar. And they're like, what?
I would love even better if they found out when they yelled action and it made some ungodly weird noise. And they're like, what the hell was that? It just goes like or something like that, and they're like, "What the fuck? Cut!"
I like that idea of like the director going cut and like going up to the bear and just yelling at it, and the bear just like paws down, face down, like just whimpering.
As the director walks away, the bear does that weird like wave thing it does.
It's his way of flicking off, like fuck you.
I don't need this shit. I got my marshmallows.
The bear disappeared. Where'd the bear go? They just find him with like a fucking mountain of marshmallows, just fucking eating it.
They find like 8 empty bags and him just laying on his back, giant protruding belly, just going like, ooh.
String him the goddamn marshmallows.
Oh boy, Teddy, I don't know the lifespan of bears, but I hope you're with us, and I hope you're enjoying marshmallows in Washington.
Hope you lived your best life after this movie, Teddy. I hope you did. You and your love for marshmallows, apparently. That I got nothing more. So if you're ready, we can go on to the awards.
Sounds good.
All right. First up, the Zack Snyder, the man that's not getting his universe continued in DC. Also known for the worst scene in this award category. What do you have?
I love that since the first episode of this show, we've used that as a way to kind of just on a weekly basis, give him a little bit more shit. we haven't really done that to Ed Wood, Steven Seagal. We've done it a little bit to Michael Bay. We do it every week to Zack Snyder.
I feel like it's necessary to say this because way too many people are like so hopeful now with the DC stuff. I'm like, no, everything you like about DC is getting destroyed.
Why would you want more? I don't get it. Anyway, my worst scene goes to Kelly finding the first body. Because I don't in this. So when the girl was attacked, the bear destroyed that shack. And so we're led to believe that not only did the bear hide the body, it rebuilt the shack. Because the shack is now fine. I was like, really? You're that fucked with the continuity? I'm not going to enjoy the rest of this movie.
I'm not.
It's from there. I'm like, this isn't gonna be fine. And I was right.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's supposed to fuck this thing up, but now it doesn't look like it fucked her up at all. For my scene, I'm gonna sound like a pig, but I'm gonna say it. Especially because this film gets away with some fucking gore for PG. There's a scene, they're searching for the bear. There's 2 rangers, 1 female, 1 male. That side is to stop looking for the bear so the female can go take a skinny dip session in the water. Now, other than just being ridiculous, I am not opposed to finding a ridiculous reason for your hot female character to get nude. What I am opposed with is I did not actually get to see the boobies. I'm saying it. I didn't get the goods. I'm like, what was the point of having this scene if you're not going to give us the goods?
Oh my god.
It's a completely illogical moment, and then you're like, you're not even going to give me like the goods to like at least back that up.
I love that your problem is clearly not with the scene. It's the fact that you didn't get to see any tits.
Yes.
After it took over 30 episodes, it's finally you're just done beating around the bush.
That's what I prefaced. I would have taken the illogical scene if I got the goods. So I'm like, well, okay, so first off, we're just going to stop looking for a bear that's murdered like 2 or 3 people now, but I'm not going to get like the goods. And no, again, PG, I'm getting like some hardcore violence, but you won't give me this.
70s PG meant fuck all. I mean, as we see with Jaws, there's an intense amount of violence and gore in that movie. I mean, we see Quint get eaten alive, but it's a PG. So really, like, boobs was all you couldn't show in a PG movie.
The weird thing is, I've seen Tourist Trap, which granted now they saw it uncut, but it was released PG. You saw Tanya Roberts' boobs.
Yeah, I've seen Swamp Thing. Same deal, Adrian Barbeau. I don't get it.
So I'm like, well, why just not go ahead? But then again, it could be the fact that they were trying so hard to beat Jaws.
Yeah, there's like we haven't had a skinny dipping scene yet, and Jaws had one, so we got to do one. I felt with that with a lot of Grizzly scenes. It's like, well, they did that in Jaws, we haven't done it yet, so we got to do it.
Yeah. I like how in your scene it was all about continuity. And mine was just straight up like I didn't get to see what I wanted to see.
It shows so well our priorities when it comes to watching a movie. Like I'm looking for story structure. You're just happy to see some tits.
Yeah. It would have been like so you're probably I can what about Jaws? You have that skinny dip scene in the beginning. The way he shoots and stuff, I know I'm not going to get that, so I'm fine with it. And the rest of the movie is pretty like PG, my little head coming up. Like and yeah, I know there's some blood scenes, but for the most part, it's really not like going for it. This one has some quite a bit of gore in PG movie, and she's not even in the water. She's literally taking it off full camera. So I'm just like, you're showing it. You're showing the fucking thing. Just go for it. Or have her in the water, do anything to show like, hey, we're not going to show it. But at one point, she turns to face the camera, and the waterfall is coming out. I'm like, you guys should have just gone for the R rating. Like, this is like, why are you doing it this way?
This is very important to you.
Yes.
Now I'm just picturing you giving like a TED talk on Jaws, being like, it's a near perfect movie, but in this one scene, you don't actually get to see her tits, and I am outraged.
How dare Spielberg do this to us?
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
Thank you. And yes, I will. And yes, as far as the Zack Snyder thing, I'll always, as long as like this stupid DC shit stays on, and Netflix keeps giving like all their money to him, I will always have something to say about Zack Snyder. Because apparently, there's always something.
Fair enough.
With that said, let's move on to the Ed Wood, who I have nothing to say because he is dead, unfortunately. And I actually have no beef for a lot of his films. Say we will about his films. He tried to make movies.
They were bad, but he clearly cared.
He cared, and that's the key. So the Ed Wood, worst line. What do you got?
Mine is from our good old pilot, Don Stober, who decides to tell his version of the Indianapolis story. Because, again, producers like, hey, we don't have that yet, so we got to put that in here. So Stober tells an incredibly vague story about a bear taking out a tribe, and this is what he says. Well, let me tell you a little story, boy. A long time ago, there was a tribe of Indians up here in these woods. They were all laying down in these parts or something. I can't remember. Anyway, this herd of grizzlies smelt them out. They came in and they ate them. They tore them all up. Little children, sick ones, everybody. There were few braves to go out on the hunt. They came back and them grizzlies turned on them. So there you got yourself a little situation. A whole herd of man-eating grizzlies just running around tearing up them Indians. Like, that's the best you could do. You got some guys like, hey, I heard about this tribe of vague Indians who got eaten up by some grizzlies, maybe. And isn't that scary? Like, no, it's vague and pointless.
Aren't you a bit scared?
That's supposed to be a pivotal moment of like, do you see what these monsters are capable of? And instead, it's just like, I don't know, maybe it might have happened. I wasn't there.
I heard from my cousin's brother's girlfriend's roommate that this one time.
Imagine if in Jaws, Quint starts telling the story and he's like, well, I don't know. I wasn't there. It happened to a buddy of mine. Like it loses all punch if you just if it's secondhand. And
also, the insane amount of like, I don't know, I wasn't like just the saying like this is my and then he obviously it being the 70s they called them Indians, not fucking Native Americans. That doesn't age well.
Nope. But I just love that this guy's like, well, let me tell you a story so I can show you just how dangerous a grizzly is. And he just like, I don't even think this fucking happened in the context of the movie. I think it's the bullshit.
Well, it's just funny because like they established that he was a pilot during Nam, but then they're like, oh wait, there's not bears over there.
Got to be a bear story. It can't just be a horror story. It's got to be about bears. Otherwise, it won't be relevant. God.
Oh, mine is mine's not nearly as long. It's a quick little thing that I have my reasons for. And that's when after the initial two ladies get killed and they got the search party going out looking for them. Apparently, good old Ranger Tom wants to complain because it's late and he wants to go to bed, which I'm kind of on his side. And our main character, our main park ranger's reaction is to go, Tom, we got a killer on our hands. Now, no excuses, please. I put this because, like, one, it's a bear that killed two people. Now, obviously, bear attacks aren't the most common thing in the United States of America, but they happen. They're bears, and idiots get too close to bears. So, not the most craziest thing. Let's calm down on that one. Not a killer yet. It killed two random people that were both camping. They weren't like one way over there, one over the, in another part. They were camping together. And they got killed by a bear. Also, to follow with now, no excuses, please. Like, you sound tough, and then you're like, please, man, please. Can you not? All right, we're doing this all night, man. Please.
He does. It feels like he's jumping the gun. He's like, oh, goody, something to do. And it turns into a situation. But at that point, it's like, yeah, do we need to go that hard? I'm like, there is like a killer on the loose out there. Like, no, you got a wild animal that was probably, pushed into it. Like, it always happens like that. But yeah, I got you there. It's a weird bit of dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, I didn't find too much dialogue like god awful. Like, I've heard worse. So it took me a while, but that's what I settled on.
I just went with the story one because I'm like, this is so blatantly trying to be the Indianapolis moment, and it's failing so hard.
Yeah. No, sorry. My dog keeps making weird painting noises for like no fucking reason. It's not even hot in here. He's being stupid. There you go. Got his attention. And all right. So with that said, let's move on to our next award. The Steven Seagal. Here again, I won't say anything because when's the last time we even heard of Seagal?
The next time we hear it's going to be when he's dead.
Yes. Also known as the worst performance. What did you put down?
I went with Andrew Prine, who played Don Stober, pilot, because this guy just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the accent, if it's the dialogue. I don't know what it is about this guy. I don't like him. He's annoying. And clearly everybody here is matched to their Jaws counterpart. Kelly is Brody. Bear expert guy is Hooper. So this guy's basically supposed to be our Quint. He even gives the Indianapolis version of the story, but he never gets a moment. He just takes them where they need to go. He never actually does anything and then gets killed by the bear. So I feel like I wanted, like, if you're going to have this guy be the Quint stand-in, give me something. Give me some meat to this guy. Don't just have him be like, well, dip me in grits or whatever the fuck he said that one time. Like, it's just an annoying character. And I didn't feel anything when we lost him. We lost Quint. I was like, no. We lost this guy. I was like, how much longer do I have to be here?
To the cast members are dead. Let's get this going.
Yeah.
For me, because it does amount essentially to like which carbon copy am I picking here? And I went with Joe Dursey as the head of the whole park, the park supervisor.
Oh, the mayor of Amity, that guy.
Yes. And it's just because, he's essentially the mayor, except I wasn't as invested in him as like Amelia wasn't, the guy who brought Mayor of Amity to life. That as much as I hate him, I like the actor portraying him. He brought a lot to it, so I enjoyed it. This guy, I'm just like the whole time, like, shut up. Like, there's a fucking killer bear out there. You're making all the dumb, especially once it is established, hey, this bear is like legit attacking people, and it's like. He's just is constantly just like, well, I'll take care of it. We'll have. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. And you get the fucking local yokels out there to take care of it. They can't do a job. It takes a kid getting mauled which you do see. For him to finally be like, all right, you guys should probably take care of this.
What? Like, why was that guy such a bastard? There was no point to it. And like, they have that moment where Kelly's like, why are you on my ass? And he's like, I'm so glad you asked. Like, and he has this moment of like, you're a maverick. And I'm like, there's a bear murdering people out there. Should we maybe focus on that? Like, does this need to happen?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Like the mayor, you get a reason, and that is he wants the income from their yada that he won't shut up about coming in. Like there's a reason given for that. Where you're like, you're a prick, but like, god damn it, I get it. Like you want that, you need that money. You survive off that money in this town. And this one, it's goddamn national park. National parks, for anyone who don't know, are protected fucking things. They don't need the goddamn money. They're federally protected pieces of land.
It is a blatant personal hatred. Like there's no, at least in Jaws, the mayor and Brody didn't like, there wasn't an animosity there. They didn't hate each other. There was just this like, we need to keep this town alive. It's the only way we make money. And Brody's like, but we're letting people die. And eventually the mayor comes around. And this, he's just like, the guy's just a total prick for no reason.
No reason. So when it takes the kid game on, and finally be like, okay, yeah, you're like, why did it take this long? It's more of the why did it take this long?
Also, why did the bear suddenly hold back on the kid?
Yeah, which I think they just put that dialogue in there because it's American film that they don't want to go all the way with that with silent trauma film. That's for sure. So
they went all the way with that in Jaws.
This is true. I just don't think they have the balls to do it in this movie.
They don't. I mean, there's no way in hell a child is going to survive an 18-foot grizzly in any capacity.
That got mauled, lost his leg, I think an arm. So that kid's dying from blood loss because he does not have a lot of blood.
No. And the bear ate a bear child earlier. It's going to eat a human child with no problem.
Yeah, and
probably one quick bite actually.
If you take into account that attack happens during the day, they don't get there until what's clearly going into evening time. That kid would have been dead. There's no way that kid was survived. Lassie was not out there to keep him safe.
That scene was my silver lining until I heard that he survived. Like I was like, wow, this film went there, and then I'm like, nope, no, it didn't. Backspace. It would have gotten some points for me if it actually had the bear eat a child.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's, with that, move on to the Michael Bay, the worst filmmaking decision.
I think this one's pretty obvious for me. I've been talking about it the entire time. It's the fact that this is just such a blatant ripoff of Jaws. It's a carbon copy. It didn't even try to do anything else. It just took shark, replaced it with bear, and didn't change anything else. It has no identity of its own. I mean, at least, Alligator and Piranha, these movies became their own thing because they didn't copy the story of Jaws. That's Grizzly's biggest sin, is it doesn't have its own story. It's just the same fucking thing. So that was my biggest problem with this movie.
That's fair. Yeah, it literally, it has the spine and structure and bones and everything else of Jaws running throughout.
It's just got a different haircut. That's all they changed.
That's it. They even
instead of ocean blue, they went forest green.
It took me a while to actually realize this was filmed in Georgia because I could not recognize the forest. I'm like, where the fuck did they film this movie?
I don't think there's a lot of forest left in Georgia these days.
No, I think there is because it's fucking Georgia.
I don't know. I can't tell a location from its trees, so I could have told you.
Yeah. Well, I thought East Coast. Then when they said Georgia, I was like, really? Okay, whatever.
Well, Georgia is the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just didn't think like East Coast more like Virginia up with the type of trees we were seeing.
Nah.
I only drove through Georgia to get to Virginia. I don't have intentions to live in Georgia.
Fair enough.
But for mine, and I kind of mentioned earlier when I thought this was a CG bear or stock footage, but that is, well, I am a fan of creature features, and then it points out that do show the animal as long as there's good payoff. Like I said, Alligator, it pays off. The animatronic looks wonderful. With that, in this case, it was showing too much of the killer bear because one, it didn't really look that great, even though it's a real bear, which is really weird to me. That I'm even saying that.
Yeah.
And two, you ever just see it, fake roaring into the camera, reaching for a marshmallow off camera. That's all you ever see it do. Occasionally see it hug someone that apparently is it mauling them. But you don't really see it do a whole lot. So it's like you could have just not shown it and found a way to film around that.
Yeah. I I think it's interesting the route they decided to go, considering they ended up with a bear that didn't work. And that's basically what it was. It was a bear that was a broken bear.
It's a broken bear.
They got a broken one.
I mean, even alligator when you get to the whole like the wedding scene, and they really show the alligator in that scene, like they know how to film it to where like the bit of animatronic you see looks good. They film a lot without showing you the thing. It's just showing where it's doing. Like they know they make it work. This one, they're just like, here's the bear, and you're like, oh, okay, it's a bear.
Don't know what I expected. That's a bear, all right.
Yep. I heard prehistoric, ancient. I thought this was gonna be something special. It's just a standard bear.
Not even an 18-footer, not even 2,000 pounds. That's a bear you could see wandering into any woods in the country. Boo.
I would roar, but the bear can't roar, so I will not. No offense, Teddy. Still love you, bud.
A lazy name for a bear. Teddy. It's like naming a lion Simba. I mean, come on. Try harder.
Naming a lion Tiger.
Could have called it
Simba. Tiger. I mean, in The Walking Dead, Daryl names his dog, so
that's lazy as shit. That's bad storytelling.
I know he's getting his own show.
Daryl and Dog. Detectives in Death. I don't know.
I'm the dog. Big bad dog. Oh. All right. So with that, let's move on to our silver lining, which I feel like was apparently much harder for you than it was for me. So with that, what's the positive you took from this?
Well, it was a dead kid, but then the kid lived, so I had to erase that. And honestly, I didn't have anything until I got to until I can't believe that the solution was blow it up with a rocket. So Kelly he loads up a freaking RPG and blows up the bear from like 5 feet away. And then the movie's just over. And I'm like, this is identical to the ending of Jaws, but you know what? I'm not going to lambast the fact that I got to see a bear blow up. So there you go.
I just think it's funny that one, they could have avoided 2 deaths right there because they could have just been in the helicopter, loaded that thing up, and shot it from the helicopter.
There was no need to land that bird at all.
There was not with that. And also, since apparently this prehistoric bear is impervious to bullet fire, which bullshit.
Well, I don't know, those fuckers are thick, so that actually made sense to me.
Okay, fine, Mr. Science over here.
If you're going to establish rules, follow them, and the movie did for the most part.
Either way, it's impervious to gunfire. So if you had and you loaded, we see him load the rocket launcher. I'm like, why didn't they just use that first? I look as a gamer. It was one of 2 moves you pull off in boss fights. You use your big weapon first, and then your small weapons, or you vice versa it. You got to know how to do it. In this case, use the big weapon first, and then if for a reason it survived a fucking grenade launcher, then you use more guns to take it out.
It's good to know that no animal on Earth can withstand a grenade. Got to take out a shark, grenade, bear, grenade, alligator probably at some point, grenade.
What if an alligator was like the only thing that doesn't take it?
I'd be terrified.
It just looks
You
like
only find that out after you try.
I'm just gonna put this here. Come on, alligator.
Yeah, I was like, all right, nice. At first, I thought when the bear started attacking the helicopter, I thought they were going to flip up the blades because the thing was, it stood up on its legs in the middle of the helicopter blades, and I thought they were going to turn on the chopper and decapitate that motherfucker.
That would have been cool, but no.
No.
It did take out that's something. This bear, like, it's a regular bear taking things out. Like, it took out a fucking radio tower. I'm like, that okay.
I mean, with one swipe, it destroyed a shack, and then it somehow was able to rebuild it to hide a corpse. So this is a very smart bear.
It's because it's prehistoric.
It can use tools.
Oh God. So on that one, for me, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it is for me. It was the fact that despite the PG rating this film has, apparently PG meant something way different in the 70s. I did like how it doesn't hold back in the gore department. I was a fan of like the gore, seeing like limbs fly off and people get gored by this bear. Like I said, the fact that yeah, I was with you. I was like, just go for it, kill the kid. Like Jesus Christ. But with that said, the fact that they even show it, I'm like, even I was like, oh wow, they're not pulling back. They're showing this. I thought for sure they found a way to like work around like the kid just not getting mauled at all, but I was like, nope.
Yeah,
so
what's mom gonna come out with like a pan and be like, shoo, you 18-foot monstrosity, shoo. No.
I was like, man, you're gonna kill the rabbit, and then like the kid sees it and runs. They find some goofy way to work around it, but no, they fucking go for it. And yeah, I do appreciate the gore. Doesn't obviously the kid dying not have same it does not have same effects to me like the pool scene Alligator did with that child.
Yeah.
But I saw that as a child. That was haunting.
That seems to be the thing that these movies do, right? To prove that, like, yeah, there's no going back, is murder or maim a child. You can kill as many hot teenagers as you want, but the second you go after a toddler, it's like, oh shit, now we're in uncharted territory.
They do it a lot.
Oh yeah. Good stuff.
Oh yeah. So unless you have anything to add to that,
nope.
That's all I got. We can move on to what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
So it turns out there's a bear in the box, and people don't like it. 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So cult status might not be entirely true.
Oh, it's true.
I have 5 funny ones, and I hope I can make you laugh. Number 1, this is from Kira. The Bernsteins never stood a chance. 2 stars.
The Bernstein.
That took me back. I read a shit ton of Bernstein Bears when I was a kid.
Yeah. I used to occasionally see like the show they did. I occasionally watch it. That's good.
When I was a kid, I just thought it was the books. I didn't know about the show till I was like 12, and I freaked out. I'm like, "There's a show this whole time. There was a show." I didn't know.
Remember the argument people used to have? It was like it's Bernstein or Bernstein. Like everyone had that fucking argument about how to say it.
Oh, that whole Mandela effect thing came out of just idiots refusing to admit that they misremembered something. I mock anybody who believes that bullshit.
Oh yeah, it's like the whole thing with like that. Well, not Shazam. That supposed Shaquille O'Neal movie that doesn't actually exist.
No, the Shaq one exists. That's Kazam. It's Sinbad's one, Shazam, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're even like Sinbad's been like, we did not film that movie. I do not know what you guys are talking about.
The fact that he's had to come out and say like, I never made this movie, leave me alone, is insane.
Yeah, it's like, so yeah, that's why I'm like, there's not a Mandela effect, because he's like, nope, movie doesn't exist. Never filmed it. I would have known because I would have been on fucking set.
Yeah, it's amazing what people latch onto. Well, anyway, yeah, Bernstein's never stood a chance. 2 stars. Next one, I love. This goes back to what you were talking about. This is from Lauren K. I love how it's just a regular sized grizzly, despite dialogue stating the contrary. 3 stars. You're not the only one who was bothered by that.
It's a little bothersome. Like all you had to say was you could have fixed it by saying, "Hey, there's a grizzly bear that has somehow gotten a taste for human flesh and it's attacking people," and I would have been like, "Sweet, cool, let's go."
Mm-hmm. But because Jaws was a prehistoric giant abnormality shark, they had to have a prehistoric giant abnormality bear.
Yes, which they forget that he got that idea from an actual story in Florida with a shark.
Yeah, big sharks out there.
Yeah, so that was actually based off fact on an actual like huge. I think he killed like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, Peter Benchley, right. He's the guy.
Yeah, he got the I mean, he wrote the book, but he got the idea from that. I'd have to actually look more into it. I remember seeing that one day.
Nice. I've been meaning to read Jaws. Heard there's a whole lot of weird subplots.
That's the thing that Benchley has weird subplots I've heard in his books.
Yeah, like Hooper bangs Brody's wife for some reason. Like all of that, like it has nothing to do with the shark. It's just weird shit. I'm glad Spielberg cut all that.
Yeah.
This is from Fraggle67. This made me laugh. All caps. Why does nobody track the bear? It's 2,000 pounds and 15 feet tall. There are at least 6 last known locations to start from. The bear is leaving tracks, blood, claw marks, and fur behind, yet nobody tracks it. I mean, Quint was able to locate a shark in the ocean. These guys can't find a bear in the woods. That is the only reason that I am giving this only 2 stars. The only answer I can come up with is because then the movie would only be 15 minutes long. 2 stars. It's a very good point. Nobody tracks it. They just assume it might be over there. Let's go look over there.
Yeah, that's true. It leaves a lot of evidence. And the shark, like Quint, found that shit with pinpoint accuracy.
I think the shark found him. Because he's like, that shark was smarter than it should have been. It's like, this motherfucker, he killed my father.
No, don't you dare question his intelligence like that ever again.
Quint to the shark.
Quint.
I was talking about the shark. I didn't say
know.
Quint was smarter. I said the shark was smarter than Quint.
Let's calm down, but properly.
Oh my god. Next one is I'm sorry, I forgot I had this one that made me laugh. This is from D-Dant. Extra star for when that little kid gets grizzly.
Oh my god.
He got grizzly.
Grizzly.
There's a word for it.
Oh my god. He got grizzlied. Oh, I'm gonna say that like all the time now.
Oh, that kid got grizzly to half to death. 4 stars. Love it. Oh man. And this last one is from Josh Lehman. Little known fact: the bear was actually packed with 10 tons of highly explosive nitroglycerin for the climax of this film. And Christopher George hated bears so much that he was angry he could only decimate only 1 bear. 3 stars. So, according to this guy, they just loaded Teddy up with nitro and only had 1 take to pull off the explosion. You imagine if that's what they did?
Jesus. Yeah, you would have 1 take. The bear would be fucking dead.
I get it. I mean, would the movie still come out? Would the preserve that they got Teddy from like sue the hell out of this production? Like, I would love I would hate to see a bear actually explode, but I would love if these guys had the balls to actually try that. That would have been funny as hell. Just like, and in the end, they blew up Teddy for that climactic ending.
Hashtag justice for Teddy.
Justice for Teddy.
We're going to do the whole Harambe, there you go, Harambe thing. Justice for Teddy. All right.
I think the Harambe situation would have been a lot different if they blew his ass up.
It'd be a lot different.
There's a big difference between shooting an animal and blowing it to hell. It's hard to explain the difference, but I think we all understand that.
Can you imagine if that's how we just euthanized all sick animals? We just fucking blow the shit out of them.
There was this guy who his mother died and he donated her body to medical science and then found out that she had been sent to the military and was being used to test minefields. So she was like the body was being strapped into a Humvee and rolled over mines, and grandma was blowing up, and the guy was so pissed.
The
So
fuck?
in some situations, they're blowing people up, blowing things up. Got to test the durability of the human body.
Just watch Jackass. We want to test the durability of the human body. Let's just be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
You want to see a man almost get his dick ripped off? Jackass 4.5 shows you.
Oof. But yeah, Teddy didn't blow up. Everyone can calm down. Teddy was fine.
Hey,
But I just love this guy's alternate universe where they just stick dynamite up his ass and just light it up. Unreal.
and the fact that like I know a bear would even allow that.
Oh, I don't think, I'm sure they like tranked the bear before they started shoving it full of highly explosive material. There's no way in hell they're trying that on a fully aware, awake live bear.
Just like caress it, treat it nice, bend him over.
Oh my God.
All right, Teddy. Just nice and calm. Keep it loose. Don't clench up.
Open up, Teddy. Here it comes. Jesus Christ. This went to a dark place.
Yeah, it did.
So, that's what's in the box. Imaginary explosive bear and a kid who got grizzlied.
I think those last two are my favorites. Kid, you got Grizzly and Imaginary. Someone who actually thought this bear got fucking exploded by nitro. Holy shit. Oh boy. Well, with that, let's do a little house cleanup, and then I'll reveal what's going on next week's episode and other shows. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under FILMGAZM Productions. If you want to shoot us a recommendation, feel free to email us at filmgasm@gmail.com. If you'd like to donate and support us, and that way you can find us on Anchor. And then finally, feel free to get on our site, filmgasm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, and all of our episodes. Next week, oh boy, we'll be talking about one of the most infamous drugs are bad, okay, propaganda films of all time. Reefer Madness.
Oof. Take it on weed.
Just taking it to the man. And no, this has nothing to do with the fact that we just saw Rage Against the Machine live. No correlation whatsoever.
There just seems to be a weird timing with all of our shows sometimes. But yeah, Reefer Madness is the movie where the government made it to try to convince young teenage youths that smoking dope, that doing reefer was bad for you and could get you killed. So it's going to be a ridiculous, over the top, stupid ass movie. And I'm excited to lambast it next week.
I've been wanting to see this for a while, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, but dear God.
And if you want to watch it, it is streaming pretty much everywhere because it's a government movie that's public domain, I believe. So Prime, Tubi, Showtime, go nuts.
Yeah, dear God. On Filmgasm, we'll be looking at a more classic type of film of Rick Moranis, family comedy classic. That's getting an upcoming Disney Plus series called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. Which is not good news. You don't want to hear that.
No, but it has equal to one of a very beloved film for a lot of people. So, and on Oscar Sunday, they'll be doing our Best Picture showdown with the main focus being on The Lost Weekend. I'm sure you guys are excited for that.
Yeah, the prep has been interesting. The film itself is about just a legendary bender and a guy who just realizes, like, oh, I have fucked up my life after getting drunk as hell. So I'm sure it's going to be quite an emotional ride.
Yeah, I would say I'd listen to it, but I'm not watching The Lost Weekend. All the other,
I know. Oscar Sundays for us. I'm well aware of that.
if it helps, I do look at the schedule a lot to see if there's an episode I'd like to be on. So I'll look at the schedule some more. But with that, that's what's going on next week. So until then, be careful when you decide to go on fun camping trips or excursions out into the woods. But there might just be a killer grizzly on the loose, an actual killer grizzly, not a Kodiak disguised as a grizzly. See you all next week on Beyond the Bed. A prehistoric grizzly. God damn it.